Jay Seawell, University of Alabama head golf coach. Hall of Famer, man. How does that sound, Coach?
A little weird. I'm still thrilled about that. I'm honored, but, it is something that I don't think about very often, but it's very kind that you said so.
Well, it's awesome. All right. One of your former players, Justin Thomas, who just has so much talent, it just oozes out of him. I'm not a very good golfer, but boy, when I watch him swing it, I just think to myself, how does he not win every week? And we know nobody does on the PGA Tour, but he may be at that point where he's going to start winning a lot. Won at Malaysia back in the fall, second time to win there. Won the Tournament of Champions last week over in Maui and at Kapalua, and looked great doing it against a small but championship field, and then followed that up with the first round of the Sony Open yesterday at Walleye with a 59, and that is the magic number in golf to break 60. I got to watch some of it in the Golf Channel coverage when they came on. Of course, unfortunately, he had finished up before their live coverage came on, but I know you were following it, and there's so many places to start here. He opened with an eagle on 10, which was his first hole. He finished with an eagle to get to 59, and in between just played incredible golf. Just talk about what you saw yesterday from him.
Well, it's fun. We were out. We had our first team meeting yesterday, and then, I guess, so I pulled it up because I knew we had several guys there, and he was 8 under through 11, and we just kind of casually, as we were leaving the meeting, I said, well, Justin's on, because we knew it was I knew it was par 70, and I said, well, Justin's on 59 watch, and then because all you had to do is play 3 under par the last 7 holes, which is very doable for him, and so that's kind of how it started. And so after the meeting, we turned the TV on, I guess, and they didn't have any coverage on, but they had a handheld camera and they were talking about it, and so I didn't get to see it probably until I guess the last 3 holes, whatever, and so it was one of those things. I guess you kind of felt it because you know who he is, I guess. 8 under through 11, some would say, well, he won't be able to get it or whatever. I just know enough about Justin that, he was like those guys on those championship teams. When he got in the mix, he was comfortable, and I knew he was going to be comfortable. So what a special day. It was fun to watch. Yeah,
he joins a very exclusive club. The only people to break 60 on the PGA Tour prior to Justin yesterday, and he's the youngest to do it at 23. The first, of course, was Al Geiberger in Memphis back in 1977. That stood until 1991 when Chip Beck did it. David Duvall did it at 99 at the Bob Hope. Paul Gordios did it in 2010. Stuart Appleby in 2010. Of course, Furyk did it with a 59 at the BMW Championship in 2013. Then last year had that 58 at the Travelers Championship. But, it's hard to do a lot of things in golf that really make you stand out because there's been so many great players in the history of the game. But to be the youngest to ever shoot 59 is something that, we may not see another 20, although they get younger and younger every year, it seems like. But to be 23 years old and do that and join that club, I mean, you could see he was on cloud 9 in the post-round interviews yesterday. But, man, that is just that's incredible.
Yeah, it's I think he was talking about it's one round, but it is a special round, and you're exactly right. I think he's in the process of really having a coming out party. And he's just 23 years old, even though he's been out there for 2 full years now, maybe a little more. And he in this round is something that he's building a brand of confidence, not of great golf. And, we knew that of him. You're not the National Player of the Year as a freshman in college. You don't win the Heisman as a freshman in a lot of things, and he did that in golf. And so he's always been a special player. And I think, the Jordan talk just has always fueled him. He's always been a little bit in the shadow. They're the same age. They've known each other. They like each other. They're good friends. But Justin's a competitor, and he believes he's as good as Jordan, if not better. And I think he's really – you can see, even though he's 23, he's a very mature this year compared to maybe even last summer.
Yeah, I thought it was even more special that he played with Spieth yesterday and his other good friend, Daniel Berger, both of them along with Justin, part of that 2011 high school class that came out. And I'll say this for Spieth. You're right. I mean, with what he's accomplished, and he'd be easy for him to have his head in the clouds, but he seemed like he was happier for Justin yesterday than Justin was for himself. I mean, I really enjoyed watching Spieth's reactions. I think it was the putt on 14 on his 14th hole that how it didn't go in. I didn't know, for Justin and Jordan couldn't believe it. I know Justin enjoyed having those guys participate with him, and they played very well too. And the joy that Jordan Spieth got out of watching Justin, I thought that was telling to what kind of friend he really is.
Oh, absolutely. That's, I think, the most proud of this young generation on the tour. And even in college, they get to see each other more often, and I'm not saying that the older guys didn't like each other, because I know there are a lot of friendships out there. But, it is an individual sport, and it's very competitive. But it's fun to see these young guys understand that if they play good, they win, but they don't have a moment. They pull for the other guy. Jordan was on the green waiting for Justin to finish the other day. So was Jimmy Walker. And it just seems to be a kind of a new trend on tour, which I think helps our game. And I really think it helps the players. It can be, you're on an island in golf a lot. And so it's nice to have friends, especially in what you're doing. And so in fact, Justin said it yesterday. His reaction was because of Jordan and Daniel's reaction. He didn't know what to do, and he looked over there, and they were so fired up. That made him fired up.
Talking about Justin Thomas with Alabama men's golf coach Jay Seawell. Thomas, a 59 yesterday at the Sony Open in Hawaii, the youngest player ever to break 60 on the PGA Tour. I want to go back to last weekend, because you and I both know how hard it is to close out on the PGA Tour and win a tournament. And on Sunday, he was cruising at the SBS Tournament of Champions. But then all of a sudden, probably the only player that's hotter than him, Hideki Matsuyama, starts to make a move on 14. Justin's got a 5-shot lead. Matsuyama eagles, chips in for eagle. It's 3 shots. Then on the par 5, inexplicably on the second shot, Justin let it get away from him. He winds up making a 7. Suddenly, it's a 1-shot lead with 3 to play. And Matsuyama's closing like a gunfighter here. Looks like he may overtake Justin. But on 17, after they both parred 16, Justin birdies the par 3, hit it in there stiff. Matsuyama bogeys. All of a sudden, it's a 3-shot margin. They both birdie 18. To not only win that tournament, but to hold off Matsuyama. What do you think that did for his confidence?
I think that was huge. I think the shot on 17 will probably be a shot that will propel him the rest of his life. Because golfers have memories. And to be able to stand there and watch it fall apart, to stay calm and cool, which he did, which was great, and then to hit the shot that he did on 17, those are the shots that make careers. I mean, I think he may have even said that, but he's 35 years old. He's going to be in a tournament. He's still going to remember that moment in another moment that may come up, if that's, in another tournament. It's just going to be some type of, when a player hits a shot like that, it gives him confidence, not just for the next day, the next tournament, really for the rest of his life. Those are the things that you do that build you into the player you are. And so, I mean, that shot he hit on 17 was phenomenal. I mean, I think the next closest, he hit it like 3 feet. I think somebody just hit it right at 7 feet the rest of the round. It was a hard shot, a lot of trouble. It was a bogey hole. And I just think that's something he's going to hang on, maybe one of the great shots of his entire career.
Absolutely. Then yesterday, as you said, through 11 holes, it looked like he was going to bust 60 wide open, and then has a couple putts that don't fall. And all of a sudden, he comes to 18, his 18th hole, the 9th hole of the tournament. And, he's got to make a 3 on the par 5. And then he drives it in the bunker, barely misses an all-time drive, but catches the bunker. And then you're thinking, well, may not be meant to be, but from 204, he hits 5-iron out of the sand to within 15 feet and then closes it out by making the putt. That's spectacular stuff.
It really was. That was that I saw that live, and the shot he hit at the 5-iron out of the lip of the bunker was special. It probably is as good as the shot we talked about on 17 and the week before, but to do it under the pressure. But there's something about an athlete when they get confidence, they have this calmness. He looked even calm then. He walked down the fairway. He didn't look like he was trying to be calm. He wasn't like going through, a 3-step method to be calm. When an athlete gets it where it becomes almost a natural confidence and calm, they get in that zone, and he's in that zone right now. When you get in it, it gets easier to get back in it down the road. He'll get out of it because that's athletics and life and all. But that's the part I looked at. I watched him walk down the fairway in the calmness that he had. It was the same calmness that he had after, Hideki caught him on Sunday within a shot. Yeah, that's what a champion is. They're calm under the heart. They're most comfortable under the most uncomfortable situations. And that's what Justin was when he was here, and he's starting to do that now on the tour.
Yeah, you mentioned his calmness, his maturity. He'll need it today because he even mentioned yesterday, you're right, he said, he didn't know whether to celebrate or not because he's never had a putt in the first round of a tournament that meant so much. But now he's got to try to process all that, put it behind him. There's still 3 rounds to go. I know he wants to win the tournament. He's got a 3-shot lead. How tough is it to bounce back from a magical round like that and remind yourself that, whoa, I got to go try to back that up today. The field's going to go low at this particular tournament, and use all that calmness and maturity to try to have a solid round today as well?
I think it's the hardest thing in golf to back up a good round because it's so easy to be forward thinking, he could be 2 under through 7 or 8 holes today and feel like he's not playing well. It is really easy to get ahead of yourself or remind yourself of what you were doing yesterday. Well, God, birdied this hole or eagled it yesterday and here or there. And so it will challenge every bit of his mental fortitude today to be in the present, to hit the shot in front of him. And if he executes today would, let's just say it's 4 or 5 under today. If he shoots 66, 65 today, I would say that would be as good as a 59 yesterday, just because of all the things that you talked about in the question.
All right, one more question on Justin, and then I want to ask you about a couple of other things. But I had Ian Thompson on earlier this week, and I guess the thing that amazes me the most is when I see Dustin Johnson bomb it, or I see Tiger, or I see some of these guys that they got out there now that are 6'2" or 3 and 200 pounds. I mean, you're not surprised. But when you look at Justin, he hit a drive 409 at the SBS, which was the longest drive of the week. He's 145 pounds. I mean, he's slightly built. Where does this power come from, Jay? I mean, he rips it as far off the tee as anybody out there.
Well, he has good quick twitch muscles. I can't call his muscles, but they're there. But ligaments anyway. He really has learned since a young age to use the ground, and I think that was just a God gift. If you watch, they show little old swings of him when he's 4 and 5 and 6 years old now on TV as he was growing. He's always been a kid who used his feet. If you look at it, when it impacts, his foot's almost completely off the ground. He really uses ground leverage to create a, optimal maximum speed. But his biggest thing is launch. He launches the ball perfectly with perfect spin. And so he does all these things. A lot of that is just pureness, natural God-given, and a lot of it's just because he's just a little kid. His dad let him do it. His dad's a teaching pro. He just tried to keep his feet on the ground, and he uses the ground, and that's where I think most people try to use their arms or their hands in golf. And if you can use your feet, that's how the best players in the world have great footwork. Yeah. And that's what Justin does. He maximizes power because of his feet. Since he's not very strong, he uses the strongest part of his body in the solid base of the ground to make him be able to maximize what he can do.
Oh, that's incredible. Like I always say, the old saying, drive for show, putt for dough. True, but if you don't drive it, you don't putt for much dough. You know that.
That's for sure. Well, the closer you get to the green, if I could hit it if I could put my ball down where they do and let me practice, I could probably be a tour player. It's a gift to be able to hit it that far. I mean, it really is.
Well, it's special watching him. And speaking of the tour, and don't get me wrong, Alabama's always had a good presence out there. I mean, you think of Jerry Pate winning the U.S. Open as a rookie at 22 and 76. Steve Lowry had a nice career. There have been others. Jason Bone, Dickie Pride, still out there, grinding away. But since you've come to Alabama and put together the program, you have the tour presence now that UA has with a lot of players. I know it's great. You take a lot of pride in that, but it's also great recruiting tool for you when you're recruiting a young man and you say, man, watch the so-and-so on CBS this Sunday, final round. We got 3 guys in the top 10 or whatever. Just talk about, first of all, recruiting players with tour potential, getting them to come here, then having them go out on the tour, how that helps your program.
Well, as you said, I'm very proud of those guys. It shows you why we were winners. Those guys, when we won the championship. But I am very proud. And, golf now is great because it used to be you just on the tour and they really never told you where the kid was from or the young person was from. Now it's Justin, who is from Alabama.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's really done, the Golf Channel, because it now televises us, has really, put college with pro, and so it has really helped. Anytime you can get an identity or free advertisement for your program. Justin Thomas shot 59. He's in Alabama. Went to Alabama, not a graduate. He only here a couple of years, but he goes, he played at Alabama. every kid who watches, everybody's going to watch that. Now Alabama's in their ear, and so if they're young and all that, at least they'll say, well, something must have happened at Alabama. It must be a special place or whatever. So it does get us in the door, and it allows us to be able to talk to most anybody because they've heard of us or there's a brand reputation, excuse me, for us. But you know, and I think it's the hardest part of our job and the funnest is when you recruit a 5-star or a first-class player. What do they do when they leave? You know, I think that's, you know, I'm very proud that, you know, the guys that have come here believed in us. They had reputations and resumes to go anywhere they wanted to in the country, came here, and they won for each other and won for our university, but also got better and they developed and have developed into tour players. And that's what makes me the most excited.
Alabama men's golf coach Jay Seawell, our guest on the Bud Light Hotline presented by Adams Beverages. You can follow Coach on Twitter at JCWellBama Golf. That's at JCWELLBAMAGOLF. All right, another thing that you're realizing now with your program is you become elite. You work to become elite. You lose to Texas as a runner-up, then you win back-to-back national championships, and now you're the hunted. I mean, it's these other programs around the country. I mean, it's a big deal to beat Alabama. You know, they say it's difficult to climb the mountain. It's tougher to even stay there. Are you experiencing some of that now with expectations being as high as they are and following up all this success and keeping the program at an elite level? How difficult is that?
Absolutely. You know, what Coach Saban has done is phenomenal, and I'm very proud of what he has done and what we watch, and I'm not as good as him. I will tell you, when we won back-to-back, it affected everybody. You become hunted, and you kind of can lose a little bit of a vision because you have a certain way of doing things, and if you're not careful, it throws you into a new light. And we are in the process of I think I'm on the downward spiral of it. I think I've got my feet back on the ground. Not that I thought we were too high of ourselves, but you start putting pressure on yourself and you do things differently because you think you have to. It's no different than anybody who makes a step in golf. We talk to our players all the time. Always be yourself. Well, when you get in rarefied air, sometimes it becomes difficult. And yeah, when you're the hunter the whole time, and then all of a sudden there's nothing to hunt and everybody's hunting you. It changes you a little bit, and you have to adapt and adjust and learn. And I'm 50 years old and been doing this for 25 years, and I've had to learn. And then also, but the biggest thing I've learned is to go back to the core values and the core things that we did to build it, and get the idea off the external or off the scoreboard. If you're not careful, the scoreboard will suffocate you.
Right.
If you're always looking at it, you're thinking of external things instead of the job that's in front of you. And so. Yeah, I'm excited about this team. I'm really excited about the guys we've got lined up coming in. I think we've got a chance to kind of replicate what we did there for about 6 or 7 years with the class we just signed and the guys we got, on board, further down the line. So I'm excited about it. But and I'm hoping that we do win it because I'll be more prepared for it the next time it happens. Plus, winning is really, really hard. I think we found that out Monday night. There's no foregone conclusion. You're going to win just because of, you put on a jersey or who you are. Everybody is athletic. And when you get to the highest levels, anybody can win. And it takes a lot of things go your way, and you get to win.
Coach Seawell, you mentioned this team coming up. Who are some guys to watch for on this particular team you've got this spring? Who are some guys that need to break out and play really well for you, for this team to have a chance to go a long way?
Well, Davis Riley is our leader. He's a sophomore from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. He was on the national all-freshman team. And, you're going to go as your good players go. I've always believed that to be great, your great players have to be great, have to play great, have to lead. And, he's been thrust, but since Robbie Shelton left early this last year, he's been thrust more into a leadership role. We don't even have any seniors right now on our team that start. And so he's been thrust into it, which I think was a little bit of a reason why he didn't play great in the fall. But I really expect him to have an incredible spring. I think he understands his role now a little bit more. And as he goes, we'll go. And then Lee Hodges, who's at Athens, Alabama. And so he's a guy with UAB transfer, and he's been a good, steady player for us in the one semester he's been here, and I think he's just going to help get better and better as he gets comfortable. And Josh Sedino is a freshman, I think is growing and maturing. And then I think the biggest addition we're going to have this spring that's going to change how things go is Jonathan Hardy is back from shoulder surgery.
Right.
He had shoulder surgery literally a week after the NCAA championships last year. And we're almost fully cleared to play. We're about maybe a week or two away. And I think he's going to really, really give us a chance to do something special this spring.
Finally, Coach, before I turn you loose, I asked you about this on Crimson Tide Kickoff, my television show this fall, but Old Colony, to have a facility like that right here in town where you have your clubhouse, you have an incredible practice facility. They've lengthened the course, the Jerry Pate design. You hosted an NCAA regional here. How big an advantage is that for you to have a home course, 10 minutes from your campus that has everything you need right here at your disposal to build a championship team?
A great deal. Old Colony has been a great partner with the University of Alabama Golf since I got here in our practice facilities out there. We hosted that regional, as you said, and it just gives us a chance to play, big boy golf every day, long golf course if we need to. But the entire golf community of Tuscaloosa has been fantastic to us. The local clubs, Indian Hills and North River also, and it just gives our guys, we bring special guys in here, and I'm proud of the things that we are able to give them to become better and become the next, maybe the Justin Thomas in '59. These are the same things that Justin Thomas got to do when he was here, and so I know the facilities and the golf courses are good enough to help make our players the best they can be. And like you said, Old Colony being so close and what they do for us, it makes it special.
Great catching up with you, Coach, as always, and thrilled for Justin and anxious to see your team this spring, and nice visit. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate you having me. Roll Tide.